could be the final game of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. We don't know. We'll see what Boston has in store. And let's go to Miami. Check in with the voice of the Celtics, longtime voice of radio, television, Sean Grande, joining us from Miami. Sean, I think everybody's a little surprised at how this has gone so far, but you've seen this team play every game. Was Game 3 maybe the most surprising performance by the Celtics you've seen that you can remember?
Oh, no doubt, particularly given the stakes, given everything that has happened this year, given everything we thought we knew about gauging the playoffs by the regular season, which is the danger, right, of Miami having this year and the Lakers having the year they had, is sort of cheapening the regular season and everything we thought we knew. But yeah, I think anyone that was really paying attention was laughing at the ESPN analytics and these overwhelming predictions that this wasn't going to be a close series. But I think most of us thought this was going to be a super close series with Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra on the other side. But I don't think anybody saw 3-0, and nobody saw the Celtics just lying down like they did in Game 3.
Yeah. Sean, what have you seen from Miami that's just been the big difference? Like, I mean, they've made a huge turn from where they were at the regular season till now. They look like, I mean, they're a game away from making the NBA Finals. What's really been the big difference that you've noticed from Miami this postseason?
And I'll give you one more on top of it. I'm not finished with the full research yet, but everyone's going to talk about 150 teams now, but down 0-3 and nobody has won. 650 teams since there's been an 82-game season have been outscored in the regular season. None have ever made it to the finals.
Wow.
That could change tonight with me. Yeah. Wow. I knew the number was big, but I'm just, you start getting back into that like 59 Syracuse Nationals, and you're like, okay, I gotta throw up my hands. I can't take it. But that's why you put the 82-game disclaimer on it, and you're not talking about like Rochester and Omaha. But what they do, which is so amazing, is play at maximum capacity, all out, every possession. They are committed to the way they play on both ends of the floor and to the wrinkles. If they come up with a wrinkle, they're comfortable. They trust each other. And there's something to be said for guys. And listen, I think people want to knock Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin. No, they're not great players because they weren't lottery picks. Well, they've been great players this week, number one. Number two, if there's a drop-off with this team, and everyone makes fun of Heat culture, but here's to me what it is. It's that Kevin Love comes down here, takes a spot, and if he can't get it done in a certain situation, he's out. And he's not going to complain about it, and it's the next guy up. And I'll give you one more wild card with Miami. I know this is like crazy to say. Without Tyler Hero, they're just much better defensively. Mm-hmm. And the next guy, it's more minutes for Caleb Martin. It's more minutes for – it just changes the dynamic where you don't have to have two guys that you have to hide on the floor at any given time, particularly against a team like Boston. It's a little thing, but mostly they're playing at maximum capacity. They look like they're playing on May 23rd, and the Celtics look like they're playing on January 23rd.
So, Sean, you know this team so well. If we just look at Boston for today, we're not thinking about the rest of the series if they can, extend it and think about becoming the first team ever to do something unthinkable. But today, what's the makeup of a team that is championship caliber but has heard for the last 48 hours about their Game 3 performance? What do you think the fight the Celtics will have tonight will be?
That's the question of the day, right? Who on earth – the beauty and the curse of the Celtics the last couple of years, this group, the post-pandemic Celtics is they literally defy everything we think we know. Like they come up with these dramatic road wins that change series around, and then they cough up the home game. And then have to go do it again on the road. And whatever you think what was it Roddy Piper used to say? As soon as you change think you have all the answers, they change the questions, which is why, like, no one in their right mind is going to say, well, the Celtics are going to come back and be the first team to do it. They probably have, by statistical definition, the best chance of anyone that's ever had to try to do it because of the talent they have, because they have the two home games, the home game at Game 7. Nobody on earth could possibly think after what they saw in Game 3 they have a chance to do it. But it's just sort of interesting that the only reason I say it is because it's going to happen one day, right? It will happen. Everything happens eventually. And when it does happen, we will not see it coming because the team's going to be down 3-0 and we will have completely given up on them. So, and just in the interest of saying that, but it's to me surprising how dominant Miami's best has been against the Celtics just look a step behind, like they're trying to catch up, and they stop doing the things they've been doing, particularly on the defensive end. They came off two of the best defensive games they played in this era in Game 6 and 7 against Philadelphia, but It just hasn't been consistent, and that was a staple of last year's team.
Sean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Yahoo's Jake Fisher wrote this morning that Ime Udoka is planning to potentially take a good amount of people off of Joe Mazzulla's bench for his Rocket squad next year. How much change do you think we could see from the Celtics coaching bench this offseason if things don't go well here against Miami?
I think there was going to be change to the depth and the structure of the coaching staff, even if things had gone well. But obviously, given what's happened now, remember what happened. This unprecedented scenario that happened right before the season with Ime and the coaching change. Here's what you lost in the last 3 months unexpectedly. Ime gone, Will Hardy gone. Then you've lost. Then Damon Stoudemire leaves, the veteran voice in the middle of the season. He leaves right in the middle of it. And by the way, Joe Mazzulla, the mind of Joe Mazzulla, this promising young coach at 34 years old, he was on the staff last year. So you lose that assistant too when you move him up to the front. So, and none of this was replaced. None of it. So you had a very young staff to begin with, and then it was gutted, and it was all happening on the fly. And it would be ironic if this does, obviously statistically, going to be the end for the Celtics here tonight or whenever it is in this series, that all of the things they overcame at the start of the year, this unprecedented coaching disaster, calamity happening just days before training camp, the Gallinari injury, the Rob Williams injury, the three things that people said is going to cost them a championship at the start of last year that everybody forgot about because they were the best team in the regular season and got to the conference finals. Wouldn't it be ironic if, coming full circle, those are the things that end up doing them in?
As far as the players themselves, again, the season isn't over, and if they come back, that would be an amazing run. But if it doesn't go the way they want, what kind of changes do you see roster-wise potentially for the Celtics?
I think you have the right guy at the helm in the fact that, listen, recency bias. If the Celtics lose tonight, talk radio, the talking heads, they're going to do what they do, right? It's going to be crazy. It's Brad Stevens' job to be the pilot when you lose an engine and stay calm and not make any decisions. Do you make decisions based on a calamitous last week of the season or the 25 weeks or the 28 weeks that came before it? In the big picture for the Celtics, you have the two things tied this summer. You have Grant Williams, an unrestricted free agent, and what do you do there? Does the offer get matched? All that. And then you have 2 weeks ago, and this is how this works, which is why you can't make decisions based on what happens on a given day. A week ago, if you and I, all three of us were having this conversation, and you said, did the Celtics give Jaylen Brown the Supermax? Of course they give him the Supermax. They have to. Now, Jaylen Brown has come up with, after a brilliant year in which he earned second-team All-NBA, Jaylen Brown has had a disastrous series, and so you question, does he look like a Supermax player in the last 3 games? Not by the longest shot. Does that mean you don't give it to him? No, it doesn't mean that. You judge the whole body of work. But now, if you give Jaylen Brown the Supermax, then Tatum comes up again in a year for an extension, and suddenly are you committed to those two guys? That's $100 million a year. You're going over, I don't want to give anybody a popsicle headache, but you're going past the first tax apron, then the second tax apron, and then it really gets punitive after that. So you have the decision is it going to be Jaylen and Jason going forward? And while people now are going to be like, oh, I don't know, based on what I'm seeing, here's the problem with being the second or third best team in the NBA. There's 27 or 28 behind you, and that's a lot of room to fall if you make a mistake trying to get better. So that is the problem in Boston is we didn't win a championship. This is awful. This is the worst thing ever. When the Celtics have been in 5 conference finals in 7 years, and I'm probably a lot of people within the sound of my voice right now thinking that sounds pretty darn good. 5 out of 7 trips to the conference finals, but it's all perspective. Don't be in Boston. This is why everybody hates Boston, right? The first 2 decades of the century, when you get 9 Super Bowls and 4 World Series titles and NBA finals and Stanley Cup finals, suddenly getting to the conference finals, which would mean the world to most NBA cities, suddenly it doesn't do it for you anymore.
Yeah, we know what it would mean here, that's for sure. Final thought quickly, Sean. Just back on Jaylen Brown, your gut reaction on him. Is he happy there? Does he want to stay there? I
think that he will be happy when the team is winning. He's happy. There is a lot of – I think when you're 25 years old, 26 years old, there's a very natural tendency. It was really interesting having Malcolm Brogdon and Blake Griffin come here and be around those guys this year because they have been around the block, particularly Blake, man. Blake has been to the circus. He has seen how it works in other places. And I think to some degree, if you're Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, by definition, you don't know how good you have it. I'm not saying it like a parent. You don't know how good you have it. I'm saying literally you don't know how good you have it because you haven't been in other places where things aren't nearly as good as they are here. So I think there's all that. I think Jalen's just a naturally just intellectually curious and all of those things so I think he's exploring it. Everybody should explore it and see, but I'm not sure there's a better situation out there for him. If the Celtics don't offer the Supermax, I think we all know where this goes, right? Down this road. We've seen this with other star players, and you have to make a decision at some point. But I don't think let me put it this way. I'm not sure Jalen will be happy anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. Well, Sean, we really appreciate you taking the time. We know you're busy. You got the game tonight. Best of luck. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, I'm sorry for anybody watching video. I didn't have one of those Miami backgrounds or turn the computer.
We were expecting it.
I was like,
you can chroma key that now, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll put the beach behind you.
We'll do it in post.
Right.
Yeah.
But trust me, I'm in Miami.
There you go. Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate it, Sean.
All right, that's the great voice of the Boston Celtics, Sean Grande. Interesting take there, too.